two scenarios. One, you spend a lot of time developing this idea so that when your players take the game over here, you're tempted to railroad them back over here because this is what you had prepped. Two, you keep your prep all light and surface level, and your players want to go really in-depth with this one thing, and you don't have any of those details. Overdeveloping? Underdeveloping. But either way, you're in unprepped territory. And today I'm going to give you 3 tools to get out. Actually, I'm going to give you 3 tools to avoid it. I mean, once you're in there, that's a different video. Hey everyone, GMGenie here, the channel that gives you the tips and techniques to take your game mastering game out of the box and off the rails. Last week I talked about brainstorming, getting your ideas out there in a clean, intentional, well-reasoned way. Well, today we're going to talk about turning those ideas into more ideas. Those are 2 different mental processes. We commonly think of them as being 2 different kinds of people. You know, I'm a big picture person or I'm a detail person. So it's easy, whichever one you think that you are, to skip doing the other one. And it consumes a lot of energy to try to do both at once. So the tools in this video and in the last video are going to help you do each of those things separately. Tool number 1, the solar system. So you've got your ideas on a paper or whatever. For every idea on that paper, ask yourself, are there smaller ideas that should be attached to this? Connect them with lines and soon all your big ideas are going to become like planets with little moons around them. And bear in mind, some of the ideas already on your paper might need to become moons of other ideas on your paper. And some of those moons might need their own moons for as many orbit layers as you need. And I know that's not how you draw an orbit, this is just a metaphor. And in last week's video I told you not to make these connections yet? Well, one reason for that is you don't want to over-prep. You want to brainstorm broadly before you brainstorm deeply. Now we're brainstorming deeply anyway, getting as much depth as we can to each idea. You want to save all your mooning for this part. That being said, there are going to be some ideas where there's a clear hierarchy as soon as you think of them, so don't be afraid to do a little bit of mooning during the first phase. Tool number 2, the fish tank. Alright, so let's say you have all your ideas thrown out wherever you threw them. Just like the last tool, you're going to go around to each idea and ask yourself, what relationship does it have to every other idea? Connect it with a line and write a word that describes the relationship. Different from the last tool, not a hierarchy, a relationship. I actually saw this tool on a very helpful RPG blog called Gnome Stew. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. I don't know why they call it the fish tank. But I found it very useful to turn my brainstorming from being just a cluster of stuff to an ecosystem of things that interact with each other. And you're going to quickly see where there's an element missing or there's a relationship you haven't thought through. Tool number 3, deleting. So one of the best tools for avoiding overprep is to actually know which ideas you want to leave out of this game and save for another one. And knowing what to cut is, you know, that's going to be up to you. The reason I mention it here is that just like a lot of things in writing, this is something that'll slip past you if you're not consciously staying aware of it, incorporating it into your process, and you won't realize till after the fact that it was time to do that a while ago. Tips and guidelines. So first phase of brainstorming is coming up with what needs to go in this campaign. Second phase is like, what else needs to go in this campaign? It's important to have both sides, because if you come up with too many moons on too few planets, those planets may not be the ones that your players want to explore. And that's the first bad situation I mentioned at the beginning of this video. Or if you have a bunch of planets that you haven't really mooned yet, then you have the second negative situation, where your players are going to force you to do some mooning. So that's it for our 2 phases of brainstorming. I hope these ideas give you smoother prep time, because this channel is all about getting you to the table with most of your energy left over from prepping, so you can actually run the game, be flexible, and your players will have a better time. Check out the rest of this playlist for more writing tools and leave me a comment. What are your tools or the questions you ask yourself in order to come up with more ideas? Be sure to subscribe for more game mastering tips and advice every week. Until then, I'm GMGenie. I'll see you next time.